Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Man, we are so excited that you are with us and that we are getting ready to open up the church to be able to worship the Lord together. It's going to look a little different. We are prayerfully considering and have considered how to open up, and we're trying to stay within the state guidelines and follow all the protocol and procedures that are recommended for everyone's safety and well-being. So we would like to talk about some of the things that we're going to be doing, and hopefully this won't last that long, but we thank you in advance for your cooperation. So Sam, what do we want to talk about first?
Well, as you said, Jesse, we didn't come to these decisions lightly. We spent time in prayer, discussing it with the elders, and just trying to figure out what is the most safe way for us to come back as a church family to worship together. Because we know that we have members in our congregation that are vulnerable and have health risks, and we want to make sure that they are able to join us in worship when we come back. And so we looked at all the things that the state is asking for us, for businesses, organizations, and that other churches as well are putting into practice to allow their people to come together in worship and fellowship. And so we're just going to go over a couple of these things this morning. Things are going to look a little different, but when you come back, you're going to see a lot of new signage and with information talking about procedures and what it's going to look like when you enter our facility on a Sunday morning. And we're going to be kind of going through phases ourselves for how we're going to be opening up the property. When we come back, the sanctuary is going to be the only part of the building that's going to be open. The classrooms, the North Ed, the coffee shop are all going to be closed when we come back. So that's just going to take some time to get to be able to use those things. But for right now, the sanctuary is going to be where we're going to congregate. We do want to be practicing social distancing, and not just social distancing, physical distancing. We want to make sure that when you come in that there's enough space and room for everyone to sit down, that we're still practicing the 6 feet apart rule and guidelines. And so when you come into the front lobby of the sanctuary, there's not going to be really any seating, or it's going to be an open space with directions of where everyone is to sit. And so when you enter into the sanctuary, we're going to have the whole sanctuary, the ropes are off the pews, and that everyone is going to sit every other pew, and which is about 6 feet apart. And so everyone will be able to spread out, and families will sit together in their own pews, and they'll be able to distance themselves from each other. But also, we do want to encourage everyone. This may look a little bit strange when you come back, but the biggest thing is making sure that we are providing enough space for everyone to be able to feel safe and comfortable. If you have any health issues, to be able to join together and worship. We are not going to have a greeting time within our service, because we don't want anyone shaking hands or hugging. We ask that when you enter the building that you refrain from doing those things. When you're out in the courtyard, if you all want to greet each other and high five, all that stuff, we invite you to do so, but when you're in the building, to just maintain that physical and social distance, so that everyone will be safe.
We want to do that too, because there are varying degrees of opinions on what we're experiencing and going through, and some are taking it more literal than others, and so I would just encourage you to follow the protocols, even if you disagree with them to some extent, for the well-being of everybody. I also want to speak to you also about if you are uncomfortable, or if your health issues do not allow you to come, we do not want you to feel pressured to be here. I want to say that again. As much as we want to see you and to worship with you, we want you to be able to be back when you feel comfortable to do so. So you are under no obligation, and you are under no pressure to return. So Our services are still going to be online, and it will be a little bit later because we're going to video and then edit and then put them back on and then put them on later on that day. And we're still walking through that. This is organic. We're growing with it. We're trying to experience this afresh, just as you are. So we're going to try to walk through this. But our biggest concern is that everyone that walks in the doors feels comfortable and feels welcome. So if you are inclined to be a hugger, and I know some of us are, we're just going to encourage you to refrain from that while you're in the service. Afterward, in whatever you do, that's strictly up to you. So anyway, let's just stay focused on what we're doing.
Another thing is we do have more hand sanitizer stations. They're going to be at every entryway into the sanctuary. We do encourage y'all that before you enter in that you do use the hand sanitizer to wash your hands, just to make sure that everyone is following those health guidelines.
And I love that. I love washing my hands like that because I have discovered that I'm a little OCD, I think, because I love counting to 20 while I wash my hands. It's just great. So anyway, so if I see you counting to 20, I'm just going to say, all right, one of mine. So.
Another thing, all the doors are going to be open in the entryway so that no one has to open a door themselves. We're just going to have an open space to provide a clear path to be in and out of the sanctuary. We are also going to require and ask that only one person use the restroom at a time. I know that's a little strange, but our restrooms are a little bit smaller in our sanctuary building, so unless you are family, we ask that only one person use the restroom at a time within the sanctuary restrooms. Another thing that's going to be different is we are not going to be providing children's ministry or nursery on Sunday morning, and that's going to be a very temporary measure, but the kids are going to remain in service with us, with their families.
And I think that we'll probably look at it and evaluate it toward the end of June. We're coming back May 31st, so at the end of June, we're going to see what the guidelines are. We want to open them up, and there's been some amazing changes in there. I mean, it's fabulous. There's been some painting and decorating and everything else, and so I know that the ministry team for the children are just excited about them coming back. But until then, for everyone's safety, we're asking that the families sit together as a unit, and we're going to ask if you have small children. We're going to section off the back part of the church just for you, so you can sit as a unit, and we're going to try to prepare things. I would encourage you to bring maybe something that smaller children can either color or play or use. I know when our kids were little, we didn't have children's ministry, so everybody was in service, and they would bring things like little Polly Pockets or whatever, something that they could play with there in the church. So if you have some smaller things that you want to bring that keep your children occupied, that would be fantastic.
Another thing that's going to be different within our service is that we are not going to have an offering time where we are passing the plates through the pews. We wanted to make sure that people were not touching the same surface of the offering plates, and so what we have done, and we're just going to try this out temporarily, is we now have new offering boxes that are at the back of the sanctuary on the back wall, so that before and after our service, if you still want to give within our service, you have the opportunity to do so. Right. Now, we do want to encourage everyone to continue using online giving if you've been doing that, or text giving. That has been a very convenient opportunity for us during this time to still be able to give and to worship through that way. And so, but we're going to still provide that opportunity on a Sunday morning for you to give if you would like. What else? What else is going to be different within our service?
We're not going to have the coffee shop open,
Right.
And so there's not going to be any refreshments or anything like that. So it's going to look a little different. It is going to look a little different. I'm sure there's a couple of things we may be overlooking. We have taken the hymnals and the Bibles out, so there won't be any contact from one service to the next. So make sure to bring your own Bible and be prepared in that way as well.
Another thing is also we will not be passing out bulletins. We will not be passing anything out that requires one person to grab hold of it and give it to another person. Most of the events and activities at the
Right.
church over the next few months have been postponed. And so there's not really anything to announce unless we will announce it within service or through our social media. So that's one thing that's going to be a little bit different. We are not going to require anyone to wear masks if they do not feel comfortable doing so. However, we are going to provide masks at the entryway for people just in case. But I do want to encourage us as a church family. We don't want to require you to do anything you don't want to do. But I do wonder would you be willing for our first Sunday back, just for our first Sunday, would you be willing to wear a mask to allow some of our more vulnerable congregants, family members of the church, to be able to attend so that they would feel comfortable? I know that might feel like a sacrifice for some, and not all of us feel that it's necessary or comfortable to wear one. But I wonder if, as a church family, that we would be willing to do that to make sure that we can have everyone come our first Sunday back to celebrate, rejoice together, to worship, and have that opportunity to do so when we all return next week.
And I think that's it. I think that's a good request. So I would encourage you to do that. And we just want to tell you as we kind of wind this down that we love you. Mm-hmm. We truly love you. We really miss you. Mm-hmm. And I know that you've missed being in the house of God and seeing your brothers and sisters in Christ. So as we walk through this, let's walk through it together. And as changes come, we will adapt and adopt. The scripture tells us to not forsake the assembling of ourselves together, and we're doing what we can with what we have where we're at. And so we're going to open up the doors May 31st. We don't want anybody to feel pressured to come, so please do not. If you have concerns, then take time to wait. But we will continue to pray. We're going to continue to pray for you, and we look forward to seeing everybody. If we don't see you next week, I know we'll see you in the next few weeks. So we love you guys. God bless, and may the Lord be with you.